All right. We are officially live. Welcome to our co-hosts, Michael, Arthur, Luciano, and our honorable guest, Cynthia.
Hey,
So
nice to
let's go
meet
ahead and let me go ahead and do the announcement. This is what we do. Are you ready? It's time. 8:02. Here we go. Every Friday at 8:02 Eastern Time. The Mindful Matter podcast. Follow, join, and watch us where you can learn how and why to be the following: successful, healthy, create generational wealth, plant money trees, and above all, how and why it is important to be happier with the people around you. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our fifth episode honorable guest, CEO of Cynthia Corsetti Executive Coaching. She is an extraordinary woman with genuine love for improving everyone's lifestyle in all aspects. She is beautiful, intelligent, gifted, motivator, mentor for many business executives domestically, internationally. And now, here is our co host, Michael, Arthur, and Luciano. All right, let's go ahead and get started with Cynthia. Cynthia, please introduce yourself. Well, before you do, I'm going to go ahead and prep you of what we are going to do. We are going to ask you 6 questions. First, it's going to ask you about to introduce yourself, and then we're going to dive deep into your vision and businesses. Then we're going to share your strategy on personal and business success and challenges and obstacles. Then we're going to share your experience how to be and stay healthier mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And then we'll move into your methodology on why. Question is why and how to build generational wealth and plan your money tree. And about all, how and why it is important to be happy with the people around you and how to have a strong inner circle relationship. So you're going to have 45 minutes, and then the four of us, would have 15 minutes to interact with you with all the questions. Okay?
Okay.
So let's just go ahead and Cynthia, the stage is yours. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, so I'm Cynthia Corsetti. I own a company called Cynthia Corsetti Coaching. It's so creative. I thought a long time for that name. Um, and I'm an executive coach. I started this business. I was an executive vice president in HR and an engineering firm. And when I resigned from that role about 14 years ago now, I went right into executive coaching because it was my favorite part of my job at the organization, coaching the people. I absolutely loved it. I started doing it then. And it's just grown and it's been this huge blessing in my life. And I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Yes, and you're doing an amazing job, and I witnessed that personally.
Yeah, I do. In addition to just doing executive coaching, I do executive career transitions. So a lot of times, executives, especially professionals, right? They're in a job for 20 years, and maybe they were an accountant for 20 years, and they get to this point, and they're going like, "I hate accounting." Like, and the reality is, you're a different person today than you were 20 years ago. So if you just change jobs, and I'm sure Mike, the recruiter, knows this, right? If you just start changing jobs, then and you don't really think through who you are today and what that next step should be, you're going to end up miserable 6 months later. So I do a lot of work with that too, helping people find the right direction for their future.
And where exactly are you staying right now, Cynthia? Where's
Where
your business space right now?
I'm based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, actually technically Sewickley, Pennsylvania. I work out of my home. This is my office. Me and my Labradoodle are here taking calls pretty much all day, every day. I'm here.
Yeah, and I did get an opportunity to visit her and her partner at her house. Beautiful home. I love your home. Very comfortable.
Thank you.
Love your driveway too. all the way around.
Yeah.
So, anybody else wanted to interact with her? Any personal introduction question? Anything you need to know?
Well, as far
Mike,
as
Arthur?
executive coaching goes, do you have a niche of any CEO, COO, or a particular vein of business that you really excel in?
Well, no, because I really focus on C-suite executives. So any C-suite executive is my ballywag, but my team, I have coaches also that we coach. We do women's groups of, VPs, women who want to get into the C-suite. We have groups of vice president men who are trying to excel their career. So we do group coaching in those aspects. And we go inside of organizations as well, and we do the whole organization where I'll work with the C-suite, and then my team will work with everybody downline, and then we bring them all together for this massive finish. So it's pretty awesome.
Anyone else before we move to the next one?
Yeah, she's probably gonna talk more about it later on, but I was just curious. Do you work mainly with so the person hires you, or a business hires you to like for your service for their executives?
That's a great question, and it's a combination, right? So oftentimes, organizations, a lot of the times, an organization will pay for executive coaching. But I have a lot of clients, especially in certain industries. I will tell you, like pharmaceutical sales, like that particular industry, when you're applying for another job or you're trying to move up, they actually give more credibility to candidates who say, I have an executive coach, because they know that you're investing. But it's quite an investment to pay for an executive coach. So when you're high enough up in an organization, you think, I can afford that. But most of the time, if an organization hires me, there's kind of this dual responsibility. So I have to report back to the organization, and I have to report back to the person. And sometimes the person then is concerned about confidentiality, which is never an issue as a coach. You never break confidentiality, no matter who's paying you. But sometimes people feel uncomfortable with that, so they would prefer to pay for it out of their pocket.
Yeah, I can't imagine, the people that run big businesses, they certainly gonna need your help. There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of stress. So, and I know you have this vibe and energy to calm and relax most of the executive out there. So that's something I can say about you. When I talk to you, I can talk to you for hours, and you make me feel special. I think that would work so many executive out there, and I would definitely encourage other executive out there to call you in and ask for that services.
Yeah, I will say that all the things that are under the C-suite that are group coaching, most of those people pay by themselves because they're much more affordable.
Well, Cynthia, since I'd say in the last 10 years, I've probably invested $100,000 with coaching and mastermind events, things like that, mostly coaching though. Looking back on how much I spent, I certainly 10 years ago wouldn't have imagined that I would spend that much for coaching and getting that extra training. And I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't. But I don't think a lot of people really value, maybe if they've never done it, they can't imagine paying somebody thousands or tens of thousands of dollars for coaching. They don't know how that would be justifiable. And I know you may not be able, maybe it's a person by person or job by job, but any idea to give somebody an idea what C-suite coaching might cost?
Well, I know, in my case, the bottom entry level is 25,000, and then it goes up from there depending on the position for an engagement. And engagement's usually 9 months to a year. I have clients though that have been with me for 8, 9, and 10 years. It's a partnership. I have clients that negotiate that into their next role. I'm coming in, I want money. I want to pay for it, but I want this extra sum of money in my offer so that I can afford my executive coach to come with me. I think that the challenge is years ago, there was this like stigma about like coaching, right? Like when you're going to fail, you're going to get a coach before they fire you. And now it's like a status thing. And I've even worked with some staffing companies that, you know, they're going to say, we're going to make a placement for you, and we're going to make a high level placement. And you can pick any staffing company that you want. But if you pick us, we're going to give your, you know, our placements, you know, 6 months of coaching, so that they're going to hit the ground running and they're going to succeed in your organization. And that's huge. So that's another avenue where I get business often.
Nice.
Michael?
And then also, it seems like it's a good business line. You know, people are investing in their future. You know, if they're C-suites or even below, you know, C-suite executive, where they can kind of level up in an organization, or, you know, realize their potential of maybe marketing themselves better and have more tools in their tool belt that you help them acquire.
Oh, absolutely. I have like two examples. I have one woman who worked for Fisher Scientific, and she was tapped as a high potential, and in a big organization, right? High potential is a big deal. And she was looking like at a 3-year strategy to be up in the more senior ranks. And she called me, and I worked with her. And within 6 months, she skipped 3 of those levels and just went straight up. And now she's no longer with Fisher Scientific, but she's even in a higher level at Hewlett Packard, maybe another big organization.
Oh, wow.
And she's doing phenomenally well. I have a physician client that started working with me about 4 years ago. And she's a practitioner. You know, she has her practice and she works for a university hospital, but she wanted a national platform and she wanted to be known as a thought leader in her industry. So she started working with me, and we started working on her strategy and her brand and how she wanted to move forward. And now she's internationally sought after. She has trademarks in her name and patents in her name. And she's done all of this because she was able to, she did it, but she needed someone to help just shine the light on her talents and help her do that.
Show them the potential they had deep down. You kind
Right.
of,
Yeah.
Right. And it's very, you know, how everybody said, it's always important to invest into yourself.
That's
Exactly.
I think
investment
this
you
is
can
a
make.
great story to share. It's invest in yourself, and you gotta pay a lot more.
in good habits, because then you have a good.
Yes. Yes. So let's go ahead and move on to number 2. Let's go ahead and dive deeper into your vision and businesses.
So, my vision is, I believe that every professional deserves to work at their highest potential, and they don't always. It's interesting. We talk about my vision. I've watched a lot of people struggle in organizations. We have like narcissism, and we have insecurities, and we have imposter syndrome, and we have all these different things. And I'm actually in the process of writing a book right now about a lot of the things that my clients have uncovered about themselves and discovered about themselves. And I think that the vision is to expand this business enough that I can pass it on to the coaches that work for me and kind of retire in about 4 or 5 years. That's kind of like my plan. I have great people that are phenomenal. We're branching into DEI work and just a lot of amazing trainings. So that's really the vision I have for the future of the business.
And you know, it's funny because that's how the rich think, building generational wealth, and you're preparing yourself, and you're willing to pass on to your knowledge to the next person, and the next, and spread it to the mass, because you want to make a difference. I mean, that's an amazing vision that you have there.
Yeah,
You already think ahead of me already.
it's really interesting because the young woman that is working with me now used to be my babysitter. And then she grew up and moved away, and it was years later that we came across each other again. So now her mom works for me doing my books. Her sister is my executive assistant, and she is there. And like, I'm like, yeah, you guys are awesome. So I am just like, I have like the best team ever.
So that's the energy I'm talking about, right? You just can't help it to feel that energy. Just like myself and Luciano, I told him I have a very positive energy with you, and I like to include you in my circle. You know, it's amazing, right? That energy.
Yeah. We both say to each other, like, it's like we matched. The energy matched, and
Yes.
It's
Yes.
contagious, Chris, they call it.
Yes. So you have to have that feeling too. I mean, just with Mike and I, we have our differences, but the energy is there. The energy must be there. And if it's not there, don't try to force it.
Exactly. With any
Yeah.
relationship.
So go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead and continue to dive deeper into your vision and your business.
I'm not sure where to go. Like, what do you want to know about my vision and my business?
Arthur, Mike.
How are you adapting to, I guess the potential recession that they're kind of claiming? Are people still investing into their growth, whether it's in a business aspect or personally? Have you seen any challenges or maybe any shortcomings with things recently?
No, actually, my business has done from COVID till now. My business has done better than it's ever done. It's just been like astronomically phenomenal for me, and I think it's because there's this like new awakening in people. They don't have to be stuck where they were. They don't have to do things the way they used to do. And if you realize, like, COVID showed every single one of us on this planet that we're not as much in control as we think we are, and things are more temporary than we believe them to be. So all of a sudden people are saying, I want to make the most of my time. I want to make the most of my career. I want to live to my values. I'm really big on core values. One of the very first exercises I do with a client when we start working together is we identify their core values. And every decision they make, every business decision, every communication, I'm asking, does that align with your core values? And it's super critical. And I think that the recession and all of those things, the career transition piece of my business, I'm not really working with people who just got laid off and are looking for a job. I'm working with people that are like, I want to change my career. I am not happy where I am. So there are so many of them out there now.
Good.
That's true. Yes. Yeah, you got to find your passion and learn how to monetize it. Start a business and then grow and expand.
Awaken the monster inside, they say, right?
Exactly. So I understand your core business is coaching, executive coaching. Do you have any other business that you love, that enjoy doing, that you like to share with us?
I think no. I think there's so many. Like, I do speaking and I do those kinds of things. I think that when you're so invested in your business, that's kind of where I go. Like, eventually, sometimes I think, like, after I give this business to Jacqueline and those guys, I sometimes think like I wouldn't mind getting into real estate investment, but I think it's just because I watch way too much HGTV.
Well, actually, real estate investment is a good way to build your wealth. Actually, I would completely encourage you to do it.
Yeah, I always heard that the best investments for like businesses that are like that you don't have to like physically be doing a lot, that you can make a lot of money, is owning the property where a mobile home park is on, because you're collecting rent and you're not like having all the upkeep because people own their own mobile homes.
Your
And
lease.
that's a really good one. And a laundromat, I heard, is a really good one. So I'm always like creative. I'm thinking like, what can we do with a laundromat to make it like really, really cool? So if people go to wash their clothes, what else can they do? So I think when you're an entrepreneur, like it's just like in your blood. Like my father owned a motorcycle business when I was growing up. And so I grew up with an entrepreneur. My mom was the first female motorcycle inspector in the state of Pennsylvania. So I grew up with entrepreneurial blood in my system, and you just can't get rid of that. It doesn't go away.
You got ingrained in you to be an entrepreneur. Can't help it, right?
Yeah, I do. And even like when I took yoga, like I had to make myself, like I had to make a promise to myself, I will not become a yoga teacher. I will not start a business. I just want to freaking do yoga.
Okay, so before we move on to the next question, are we ready to move on to the next agenda topics?
Yep.
Okay. All right, let's just go ahead and share your strategy on on a personal or business success and challenges and obstacle. I know Mike touched a little bit of that a little bit earlier, but I would like to know a little bit more deep down in there with your success and challenges and obstacle.
I think most of us, our challenge is in our head, right? We stand in our own way. We have a scarcity mindset. We have instead of an abundance mindset. We think that we can't do something that we absolutely can. And that's what ends up what my book is about. And I think that is what holds us back from success in business. I give you an example. One of my clients who was an optometrist, and she came to me. She had a great job, and in optometry, there are certain jobs that are just like really good optometry jobs, and she had one of them. And she thought that she just wasn't happy there. She wanted more, and she couldn't figure out what she wanted. And I said, "Why don't you open your own practice?" And she said, "No, I could never run a business. I can never run a business." So this was in her head. She didn't think she could run a business. So I started her like on little baby steps, and I said, "Why don't you try like a side hustle?" And she started selling like one of the skincare, things on the side. She loved it. I mean, she like kicked butt. She was like top of her thing, and she like took off at that. And she did that for a few years, and now she owns her own optometry practice, and she's kicking butt at that. But she had to get out of her own space of what she couldn't do, and that gave her baby steps to see what she was really capable of doing.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely agree with you. It's about knowing who you are and having confidence in yourself, and just forget about what other people are going to think about you. You can't. Yeah, have a vision, stick with it. There's a reason why you have a vision.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys I'm sure you guys have dealt with the same things that like there are times in your business, no matter how successful you are, there are times in your business you're going, can I really do more?
Yeah.
That?
Yeah, with me, I'm always about how do I build generational wealth from this business? What can I take it to the next level? And the best thing to do is just share and willing to share the profits, willing to share the wealth and share the knowledge.
Yep.
I think because if I help Mike to become successful, his success is my success. Deep down in him. Even he give me credit or discredit me. Deep down, he know that because of me, that one missing piece of that pie was me that make him to the next level. And regardless if it's Luciano or somebody else, that it's that important to have that connection. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right, so that was just an example of the challenges that from a mental perspective. Anything else that might be a challenge or an obstacle?
I think in my business, it's also like some of the, I don't want to say stigma because it's not really that way anymore, but people are if I were to say, I want you to spend $25,000 on your puppy, they're like, yeah, here, I'll spend it, my dog, my kids, anybody. But when it comes to spending on themselves, sometimes that's where they'll draw the line. They're like, well, I don't think they feel guilty for doing that. So that's always like a challenge and an obstacle that you kind of have to work around. But what I do is I don't do sales calls. I do coaching sessions. So if you're thinking about working with me, you set up a coaching session and I coach you for an hour and a half. And if at the end of that, you want to keep going, then they find the money, they make it work. And so that's kind of another obstacle. I'm trying to think of the other, most of the challenges come from myself though. They really do. It's like, what kind of, how can I trip myself up? I changed my mind when I first started. I was doing like life coaching. And all executive coaches are life coaches, but not all life coaches are executive coaches. But life coaching, it sounded too fluffy. It was really hard to get a CEO to hire a life coach. So, there's just like, you have to be willing to pivot and change. I had to go from doing all one-on-one to realizing I have like 26 clients active at any given time. So that's all I have. Like, I don't have more hours. I can't do that and golf or do the other things I enjoy doing. So I had no choice but to bring in other coaches, to branch into executive coaching. So now we could be keep coaching 50 people or 30 people or several cohorts, instead of one-on-one. And that was hard for me. Because I didn't give up the one-on-one, but I had to shift, and it wasn't fun. I still love my one-on-one.
So the key is the word, let it go.
Yeah.
It's okay to make adjustment, to make changes.
Right.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Be brave and make that change, right? There's a reason why your mind is telling you that, right?
Right. A friend of mine wrote a book called Scale or Fail. And it was a pretty good, I like the title of her book. It's a good book, Scale or Fail. And she's right. You either got to scale or fail.
Well, this is the reason why the world needs you and need myself. Like me, I work with passionate entrepreneur. I ask them a lot of questions. What make them passionate? And you work with executive. What is it that he could do differently to make the company profit higher? You bring more profitability to the company, more better employees, right?
Right.
So yeah, there's challenges, but also opportunity for all of us to go out and offer that services. So we're here to help. So Mike, do you have a question?
No, I was thinking another revenue stream. She said golf. Maybe she could be a golf coach for a minute.
I'll tell you my golf story. You'll love this. I was golfing with my husband. We come up to a par 3, and he says, "What are the chances that you're going to get a hole-in-one?" And I go, "A 50-50. And he goes, "You mean if I gave you 100 golf balls, you're going to get 50% of them in?" I go, "No, but if you give me one, it's either going to go in or it's not going to go." Apparently, that was not the math he was using. But I was nuts.
That's funny.
I take it.
Pardon me? I tell my husband my age, my weight, and my golf handicap are off limits to the world.
Yeah, I can't imagine that you two having fun talking about stuff like that. So he's a great guy.
He's always the one who wants to make bets on the golf course, and I'm like, seriously?
No.
Well, him and I should go golfing. I'm very competitive. I don't even really play my game until it could be $1. But if that $1 on the line, I'll get the birdie.
Yes.
I can play
he's
when
right.
no
Mike is right.
I play the best when we're on vacation. He plays the best when, like, how much is this worth to you? Like, he loves that. I don't get that.
Competitive, like Michael Jordan, brings out the passion. Being competitive.
Yeah, they crack me up with the betting, though.
Before we move on to the next one, does anybody else want to have last-minute question for Cynthia?
Cynthia, you mentioned the biggest obstacles or the challenges were in the mind. I agree with that. With all of coaching, have you ever found a mechanical obstacle that people really had, or is 100% of the obstacles I can't attitude versus an I can attitude?
Well, it's a good question. I think there's both, right? There's once you have the right mindset, you also have to have the right strategies. You have to have the right listening skills, the right communication skills. You have to have the ability to ask the right questions to your team, and you have to be able to hire the right people, and you have to be able to interview the right people. So there's a lot of processes and streamlining of processes, and good leaders have to know how to be coaches, and good leaders have to know how to develop the people under them. So that's a lot of process and strategy as opposed to just mindset. But it starts with mindset. It starts with understanding your core values. Like there's a study done on core values, and they did this study with Stanford students that were going on break. And they sent the students home, and they said, "This group of students, we want you to go home and just write about your day every day, just journal about what you did." And the other group they sent home and said, "We want you to write about your day and journal, but we want you to tie it to how it tied into your own core values." And when they came back, this was a study Daniel Kahneman did. And when they came back, they were floored that the difference in the students that did the writing about their own core values. And there's been proof and studies that have shown that writing about your core values one time for 10 minutes, you'll still see the values of that 5, 6, 7 years down the road. Core values are that critical. And so when you start working with the CEO and you start going, let's talk about your core values, they're like rolling their eyes. But like by the end of it, that is like the one thing that they come back and they say, this was the game changer. Like, I got it. Once I understood that and how to connect all of my decisions in business and in life to those values, it was a game changer.
Yeah, you just know it. You gotta trust in yourself. Just know it. It's just like come out of thin air. And you just like feel it, you know. So definitely. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So let's go ahead and share your experience to be and stay healthier mentally. Let's break it down mentally, and then break it down to physically, and then break down emotionally, and then we can break down to spiritually. So take one at a time. I know it's a loaded question, so I'm gonna ask you to take it one step at a time, mentally, and then physically, and then emotionally, and then spiritually. Let's go ahead with the mentally. Oh, you want to start with mentally first, or you want to start with something else?
Well,
Where the heck are you guys?
I'm here.
Loaded question.
So for me, mentally, my morning routine is critical. Like, I am a morning person. Actually, this is really late for me right now.
Sorry.
I'm up by 4:30 or 5 a.m. every day. I do meditation. I work out. That time is super, super, super critical to me. If I didn't have that time, I don't think I could stay mentally focused and calm. I've suffered anxiety through the years, and I've learned the meditation. Also, I think I told Christopher, my son is an acupuncturist, and he uses acupuncture a lot to help with the mental and the physical. So I kind of learned some of that through him, but it's just important to stay focused. And if I didn't have a morning routine, I don't think I could do that. Anybody have morning routines you're into?
Yes, I do a lot of in the morning. My brain automatically wake myself up at around 4 o'clock. It's automatically. So sometimes I text people early in the morning. I realize, like, oh my God, it's still 4 o'clock. I can't believe I text somebody.
I've gotten him. I don't know if he's just getting up or just getting in.
Ha, funny, Mike. So, yeah, knowing you, I'll probably if I'm coming in, I'll probably be hanging out with you. And I'm gonna say Mike made me.
They always blame it on me, Chris.
Exactly.
I don't.
So from a physical, you do golf to stay healthy, and it's in the routine exercise that you do from a physical perspective.
Yoga.
Right? I do yoga. I have I know you've probably heard of the Peloton, the bike. I have, instead of the Peloton, it's called a Hydro, and it's a rowing machine, but they have the like the live workouts just like Peloton. So you're like on the water with like a live coach, and it's pretty awesome. So I do that for cardio, but I do yoga, and I work out at home. I was going to Ramp and Rise in Sewickley, and I loved that. And then when COVID hit, I started working out more at home. And I am like, where I live in Sewickley, like you have to drive 15 minutes to get pretty much anywhere. So I could just be done, with part of my workout by the time I go anywhere. So I love to work out at home.
And from an emotional healthiness, I mean, what do you turn to maintain that emotional, locked up and control that emotional breakdown, or stay healthy emotionally?
So I am very spiritual, not religious, so to speak, but I am very spiritual. And I like I said, I meditate a lot. I need that time to stay centered in my soul and who I am. That keeps me sane. Again, acupuncture. When I see my son, I get acupuncture. The interesting thing about acupuncture is my son had like debilitating anxiety. He had very bad anxiety. I didn't think he was going to make it through undergrad. And one of his professors suggested that he go and get acupuncture. And he got acupuncture, and he called me the next day. He said, I know what I'm going to do with my life. and it changed everything. His anxiety was gone, and he's been doing acupuncture forever since then. So I do believe in that, like for the emotional and the stress and the anxiety and so on. I eat really healthy. I'm obsessive. I do intermittent fasting. I do all of those things. I stay away from sugar, Mountain Dew. Don't do any of that. The worst thing I do is wine. I do my wine, but I talk myself into the antioxidants and that.
And what is your favorite wine?
What is my favorite wine? I like Pinot Noir. I like a Pinot Noir. And
Tasty.
I'm sorry?
Very light and tasty.
Yeah, it's a good wine. And I will also freely admit that you could sell me pretty much anything in the world if you put the words anti-aging in front of it. This is an anti-aging pencil. Buy now. Okay, $50. You want $50 for an anti-aging pencil? I'm in.
That's a good one. So you're saying emotionally and spiritually it's all tied together for you?
Yeah, I'm excited. We're going to I'm going to Sedona in about 2 weeks, and we're going to this resort, and they have this spa, and there's like all of these like really cool things. I'm going to do this labyrinth thing, and I'm doing this chakra thing, and like my husband's like, "What happened to a massage? Why can't you just get a massage?" And I'm like, I'm not like into massages. I don't like people touching me, but like the other stuff, I love. So yeah, it's a real spiritual place. I'm excited to go.
Yeah, I always know you as the BIG, which is, you always stay this healthy mentally, physically. You're always in the right place in the right moment. I always admire you for that. So I always consider you as the BIG, which is beautiful, intelligent, and gifted.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. My husband says I'm just annoying.
No, I never find you that type of energy. I always look up to you, and you always inspire me. I mean, you're just such a positive energy that when, just watching your video or just talking to you, it's a positive outcome. So I'm glad I'm glad you're doing the coaching, executive coaching. I know a lot of executives, a lot of stress on them. It's not easy being executive. We all can witness that. It's a tough job, and that's why when I hear people make millions and millions and millions, I said they should make more.
Yeah.
They don't understand what's going on behind the scene. There's a lot challenges and obstacle. So I'm glad you're doing that. I'm very happy and genuinely happy and that you're doing this and see you successful. And not only that, you're growing, expanding, which is lead to generational wealth. And that would be our next one. So let's just go ahead and tap into your, you're making good living doing this, what you love, what your passion is. And so how are you planning to give other people advice how to take your passion and take what you're doing and whatever they might have, whatever executive job or position or products or service or project, how can you give them advice how they can do it to build generational wealth and maybe plant their own money seed?
I think the first thing they have to do is recognize that there is enough money out there for everyone. It doesn't have to be competition. And you can, if you have an abundance mindset, you will be successful. If you have a scarcity mindset, and I'll tell you, my son, for one, as the acupuncturist, is just starting to get over that scarcity mindset because he was a poor college student for so long and starting a business and, scraping along. And he would try to charge prices based on what he could afford. And I'm like, dude, you can't do that if you want to make money. You have to, there's a value to what you do. People will pay the value of what you do. And I think that's where people get in their own way again. And having that abundance mindset, knowing that just because there's 15 other people doing what you do, there are millions of executive coaches. If I worried about what each one of them are doing, I wouldn't get anywhere. I would be like, you'd be like in this paralysis of fear. But there's so much, it's out there. Wayne Dyer said once that you could take all the money in the universe and put it in a jet airplane and fly it around, and like 6 months later, it would all end up in the same places that it is right now. Because the people who attract money are going to attract money. So you have to change your mindset before you do anything else.
Mindset is the key.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Wow. So, Mike, are you freezing up there? How about you, Arthur?
I'm
Are
good.
you still?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Mike's freezing up.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. And if you have a question, go ahead and follow up with what she's saying, Arthur.
Well, methodology about mindset, fear. I like what she said about abundance versus scarcity and how many different levels that gets into is astounding. And for me to look back in my life, I remember the first time that I started looking at this in my life. I think myself and everybody that I knew probably thought I was the most positive person that they knew, and I did too. So I decided one day I would start writing down as many thoughts that I had during the day. So I'd go a couple hours and I'd remember, and I'd just write down as many as I could remember what I was thinking about the last couple of hours. And then 2 hours later, I'd go back to my paper and write it down. So the first day I came up with about 50 things that occupied my brain. And the second day I came up with almost twice as many. Front and back, 2 columns, had about 100. So I did that for 5 days I said I wasn't going to judge what I was thinking about, just write it down. I remember several of them. One, when I did it the first day, the lawnmower wheel was bent and I needed to get that fixed before it started, mowing and stuff. And it got in my brain like 4 or 5 times a day that I didn't do it, 4 or 5 times the next day. So that week it was on that paper like 20 times. So how many times does a simple thought draw down your bandwidth on something? Just how did I get my list so many times? But what I did that weekend is I went back and wrote an emotional energy to that thought. Was it plus or the first time I did it was 0 to 10. 0 was negative, 10 was positive, so 5 was somewhere in the middle. I still do that, but now it's negative 100 to positive 100, and try to figure out what that thought did to me during the day while I held it. And so the first week that I did that, I scored myself thinking I'm the most positive person I even know. And I ended up with a negative 75.
Yeah.
Just because of the things that I thought about were, I guess, scarcity or negative in general that occupied my brain. It's like, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So I learned from that to start focusing and chasing out thoughts that were negative in general. I mean, if it's something like a broken wheel, I got to get it fixed. Then it became a bandwidth problem, not a negative problem. But so I just started focusing on that mentality part is a can-do attitude versus, and I just wouldn't let negative thoughts occupy my brain.
Yeah, that's a great story. That's a great illustration. I often tell my clients, like, when thoughts are going to come into your head, you cannot control that. So you're going to have scarcity thoughts, you're going to have fear thoughts. They are going to come through. But if you can just imagine all of these thoughts coming through like they're on a conveyor belt, and it's like your choice if you're going to pick it up off the conveyor belt and focus on it, or if you're just going to let it keep going because you know another one's going to come through. So you just got to sometimes. And I find that the most difficult, like if I wake up at 3 a.m., that's when those like negative thoughts start coming in and taking root. But you just have to close your eyes and just say, okay, that's not serving me. So let it go on the conveyor belt. And it's just a good visual for people to have.
There's a famous thought that says, so it's say something like this, like we have two wolves in our minds, like the bad wolf and the good wolf, and then they ask you which one is going to win like a fight, and the answer is whichever wolf you feed the most, like whichever you make stronger.
Yeah.
So
like feed the weeds.
Yeah.
100% true.
And that is like kind of linking when you were saying that like the like the whole part of like how the mindset and how like the obstacles are in our heads. And I was just kind of like remembering like that there are people, and even like family members, close family members, who sometimes even like unintentionally they think they're protecting you, and they start to say that like, okay, give up on that idea, it's possible, you can't like pull it up, or and I was just like thinking like people go through those kind of things all the time, and if they don't have their minds um, like they don't have like they don't build an armor around like their minds, they can be, you know, like influenced by this kind of thoughts. And this is all about what you're mentioning. So everything you're saying so far, they just it's like just clicking on my belief. So I'm like very happy that like it means that I'm like, you know, like on the right way, you know, like reading the right stuff, and so
Yeah.
makes me happy because of that.
Good.
Well, Cynthia, I'll recruit your next client. I'll send you the bill. Here you go.
Is Christopher talking?
And just to add what Luciano's saying, and what you're saying, Cynthia, you know, about another way to spin that word is, have you heard of the poor man and poor dad and rich dad?
That poor dad. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's that mentality, and I can use that my soccer program an example, and Luciano can witness this. You know, there are leagues that out there that do it for $5, $10, and even free, but you know, because they're thinking about depending on other people, they think my league is too expensive. But you know, because it's just from the mindset. But I keep telling Luciano, you got to think, look, the facility, got to think positive. Because look, for us to have a nice facility, you got to have an owner that spend millions and millions of dollars getting this facility for us to have a nice place to play. You think it's free? No, it's not. So from your mindset, you have to think of other people putting their effort, putting their investment into it. So stop thinking about, because everybody needs resources, right? So I have to tell my soccer player that if you can spend at LA Fitness a lot of money on a membership, and believe me, I signed the $10 attraction fishing me, right? But by the time I sign up, it's $100.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So for me to charge this price, it's worth every penny. And as me growing from a 14 to 16 to 18 to 10 team, now I'm up to 12 team, because now they see the value.
Exactly.
And believe me, sometime I die, it's like, how am I going to compete with those guys that have, you know, that they get $100,000 donation from the health department or from the health company, right? For sponsorship,
Mhm.
right? So sometimes I doubt myself, but at the same time, I was like, no, I need to create something that is value, that people enjoy. That's why we call our league Soccer for Life. Friendship comes first, fitness, friendship, fun, and fitness. So, and it's working, right, Luciano? I mean, look, when we play, like last time you played, it was so passionate. That game, like, I got to tell the guy, I got to set it down, guy. Friendship comes first. But
yeah, true.
But they're happy to
Yes.
spend $20.
Yeah.
Everybody didn't mind at all.
Yeah.
Everybody like
And-
walk out happy. I was happy. The
and-
player was happy, and now we have 12 teams joining us, and the cash prize just went up to $66,000 to $6,500 for the top two winner.
Yeah. And every
Crazy.
week I have to it's kind of sad, but I have to tell some players like no, just because, you know, we have so many players in the team already, and everybody wants to play like they want to play good minutes. So if I start bringing too many players, then it's not like
Loses
people
that.
start complaining. Yeah. So like it's like the league is so good that like there's a lot of players who want to play, and we still like it's gonna get bigger and bigger because whenever we have room for more, we're gonna, you know.
Yeah, I just signed a contract with North Allegheny School District to have the turf field all year round.
Awesome.
So yes. So what you're saying, Cynthia, I completely relate, and I appreciate you share that. It's you know, a touch, you know, from a personal experience. So yes, yeah.
That's the thing about when you charge, right? Like when I first started coaching, I'd be charging like $500 a month or something. But what would happen is they would pay for a month, and then the next month they'd have like, well, I have to fix my car, so I'm not going to do it. So they didn't have any skin in the game. And I learned very quickly that when people invest and they have skin in the game, that they pay me $25,000, $35,000. They're like, I am darn well going to get my money's worth. I'm going to show up for these calls. I'm going to do the work that she asked me to do. I'm going to do this. So it's really important to invest in yourself and not be cheap with yourself.
No, like I said, it's all about the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And if you make it free, nobody appreciate it, and people don't see the value in it. And that's why when you said put the skin in, put your money.
Yep.
Where it's at, and if you invest into yourself and you invest that money, earn money, now you're gonna see value.
Right.
You look for value. If you look for value, you'll see value, right? If you
Right.
don't look for it, you're not gonna recognize it. If it's even though in front of your face, you won't recognize it.
Here's a perfect example for that. I used to pay $10 a month for Planet Fitness and never show up. And then I started like, gaining weight after I finished up college. Used to be practicing every day. So I started like gaining weight for not being like doing so much exercise. So me and my wife, we signed up for this really nice gym called a D1 training, which is like instead of $10 a month, now it's about $65 a week for both of us with like the discounts and everything that they gave us. And because we're paying $65 a week now instead of $10 a month, we go every single day that we get home on time for it, because it's at 6:30. Sometimes we work until 6 and we just don't get on time.
Wait a minute. I thought you stay fit because you've been running on that soccer field.
That too. I've been training at the D1 training to run more in the soccer field.
Yeah, I noticed that I don't see a lot of people breathing deep anymore, because now the breathing is lighter, they run faster, and yeah, I could see it. Yeah, there's a lot of take a lot of fitness in the soccer and keep you fit as well.
Caesar, you see Caesar?
Yes,
like he's been playing like plenty of games. Like
no, he played 2
games
that night.
Yeah, not only for my team. Like every night he's playing for another team too.
Crazy, right? Oh, that's another success story, and I'm trying to get Caesar to be my business partner in the cleaning business.
We're trying to get a chunk of his.
No. I'm trying to grow and expand his business.
I know, just kidding.
Yes. So his glass is full, but my glasses keep pouring so that he always have overflow.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have about 8:02, so we got about 5 minutes to go. So let's ask a real quick question, and we move on to the last one. No question?
Nope.
Okay, let's go ahead. We're doing a great job, right?
I think so.
Okay, this is the last one.
Money trees.
Yeah. So this is the last one about how and why it is important to be happier with the people around you and how to have a strong inner circle of relationship.
In my perspective, I think it's important to surround yourself with like-minded people. When you hang out with people that are negative and pull you down, humans are like sponges and we feed off the energy of others. So if you want to be successful, hang around successful people. Like, period. There's just no other way to do it. If you want to be a couch potato and be miserable and complaining, hang around with a bunch of people who do that. But you're going to end up attracting the energy of the people that you're around. And I surround myself with amazing people, and they just keep making me grow.
Mm-hmm. They push you, and then it's, you have different conversations too. I recently did that, Cynthia, probably about a year ago. It's like, I was in a bunch of group texts, and then like Monday would come, and it's like we just hung out. They're worried about where they're going Friday and Saturday. And then I switched golf clubs and started to be having different conversation. They're talking about on Saturday, we get done golfing at the club, how they're going to streamline and make more revenue in their business, what other hustle they can do, maybe different conversations. No one discussed, hey, let's come back here and golf and get drunk again. It was just, you realize, like, then I had to evaluate, and I was like, I'm going to be stuck in that same circle. And it's like you said, it's just like negative, and it's just like a vicious cycle. And then I kind of slowly pulled out of there. I still have them as friends, but I take them for what they're worth. Like, I know those are the conversations, like you said, you try to keep your mind out of that.
Yeah.
That's good. Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And making a quick decision is also critical important too. So So if you think it's negative, it's going to have a negative impact on you. It's okay. Let it go. Cut the
Yep.
string.
Yeah.
If they're meant to be, they'll be back and trying to reach out to you. There's so many different ways they can reach out to you to make up and talk to you, but you shouldn't try to solve the problem.
Yeah.
Don't try to be the teacher. Don't try to be the guru. What it is. Leave that to Cynthia.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I even unfollowed like about a bazillion people on Facebook just because I get tired of negative posts. Like I don't hang out on social media all that much, but when I do, like I just want to like watch cat videos. I don't want it to be like hate and misery and like there are people who will tell you like every medical issue they have. I got up and I have a headache and I'm like, okay, that's great, but let's talk positive. Yeah.
And what is the best way to build a strong inner circle relationship? What's the best way that you can advise those people that are watching us?
To how to build strong inner relationships?
Inner circle of relationship. How do you know who and what should you recognize? What should you look for?
I'm going to go back to what I've said before, core values. The people that you surround yourself with should have core values that are similar in the same mindset and the same I like diversity of thought, don't get me wrong. You don't have to have the same ideas, but they have to have the same energy. They have to be on the same level of flow. You can't have somebody who's down here when you're at an energy level up here, a spiritual energy. You have to attract people to yourself that are at that higher rate, or else you will never ever get out of that lower energy.
Exactly.
So you need the jet engine that can take you to the next level.
Yeah, I guess so.
Don't ride the bike.
Right.
Right.
I always thought that when I was around a person, just pay attention to how you feel.
Yeah.
Your emotional state when you're around the person or when you're going to go meet that person. As a good energy, bad energy, or after you left the person, all the conversation you have is like, a lot of times it's neutral. Maybe most of the time it's neutral. I don't have some, but sometimes the most negative ones are you're kind of anxious about going, and it's pretty easy to get rid of the people that bring me down. And the same thing on Facebook, I must have deleted without even telling or asking them, maybe 300-400 people. Just delete. Yeah. That's how they made me feel. So delete.
Yeah, I have to be really careful, and I am really careful. Before I get on a Zoom call with a client, I spend like 5 minutes and I like meditate, and I make sure that my energy is up and I am 1000% focused on that person, because when they get off that call, I need them to walk away with the kind of energy that's going to carry them through. So we have to be conscious of that and what we're doing for each other too.
Yeah, it's almost like watching the Avatar, how with their hair, they stick to that energy, right? You got to have that connection, right? And if you don't have that connection, then it's not going to work out. Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, it is at 9:02. So that means we are going to come to conclusion. So if anybody wanted to say last word in, and
yes,
our audience where to watch and how they watch this, and watch this amazing story and watching this amazing message that we share with the world. Where can they share this and stuff like that? Any last minute comment?
Well, you know what? From having this podcast and joining it, Cynthia has actually taught me a few things. So that's, she's pretty good. So,
thank you.
We learned some things, but this was informational for me. So I appreciate the invite, Chris, and the pleasure meeting everyone else.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
Yeah, and thank you for having me, Christopher. I appreciate it very much.
Hey, like I said, you inspire me. You're a great human being, positive energy. I love to, we're friends for life, like BFF, BIG, BFF. Beautiful, intelligent, gifted, and I would love you to be my BFF for life.
You got it. Friends for life.
I was your BFF.
Yes, and that's who we're trying to connect, is whoever's in our UBAMI's group. So it's we're working with inspirational leaders, we're working with investors, we're working with entrepreneur. So we're trying to build those connections. So this is the right connection for all of us. So continue to reach out to each other and join the group and learn from each other. And this is the real vision why I'm starting this podcast, is because I'm going to bring you guys together, maybe to 1,000. And once we have 1,000 members, I would love to have a nice big party at Dubai.
Dubai. Okay. Hey,
I think Mike would like that, right, Mike?
you know me. I'm open for anything.
Let's party, baby.
Okay. Oh, then
Is
also
there a golf game in it too?
I wanted to touch back on, you were talking about different ways to invest when you retire. A friend of mine bought a storage unit.
That's another one.
And then the other gentleman got out of the business. He bought the land. Now he's building those from the ground up. And then my other buddy was like, once they go in there, they keep their stuff. It's a year lease. They're getting, $200 per unit. If you got 100 units, do the math. And there's no maintenance.
Right.
You just put it in an aluminum storage unit. So
yeah, and if they don't pay their rent, you get their stuff too.
And exactly.
Auction it off, right?
Yeah.
On A&E Storage Wars, so you
Yes.
might nice in there.
Yeah, there is so many great opportunity, and there's so many ways to build generational wealth, and most people don't look for it. Like I said, it's come from the mindset. All you have to do is look for it. It's everywhere. Yeah. Everywhere.
Exactly.
You meet up with Cynthia, you meet up people like myself and all Kabami and Ubami partnership. If they have that passion, we can help them monetize it. We can help them start a business. And if they want to grow and expand and build generational wealth, then we become their partners in investment as well as operational.
Great. Well, hey,
So, all right. It is 9:02. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to watch us. And thank you so much for being an honorable guest. And thank you so much, everybody, being our co-host. It was a lot of fun. Great energy. And I look forward to do the next one next Friday. It's every Friday, 8:02.
All right.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Cynthia, what do you think?
That was fun. I lost my mouse, so I can't tell where my monitor is. Wait.
Okay, let me go ahead and end this first, and then you're gonna be still on, okay?
Uh-huh.
All right.